folks, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to the Dice Tower. Today we're talking about my top 10 drafting games. And I'm not talking about racing drafting, I'm talking about card or tile drafting. Now there's a lot of games that they talk about drafting, you're pulling cards off the table, or maybe some people consider deck building drafting. But in this video, I'm being very particular that you have a hand of cards or tiles, and you are picking one or two or however many of them, and then passing them to the next person and going around the table. I know that there's various ways to talk about drafting, but that's what I'm going to concentrate on here. This particular method is one I like a lot because I'll sit there and the tough choices are, I want good stuff for me. I want to stop you from getting stuff that will help you. You know, it's called hate drafting. I like this idea. This was introduced way before genre in Magic the Gathering when people would have, tournaments and you would draft the cards that you need to build your deck. And there are other games that I'm not including on this list that have drafting as like a part of a setup type thing, like Agricola, where you draft the occupation cards, or Seasons, you're drafting cards there, or the Terraforming Mars. But that's not the main mechanism of the game, which is why they're not on this list. These are ones where it's a main focus of the game. So we'll start with number 10. Now this is like the, hey, this is the new hotness type thing. But I found it very interesting. That's Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Now, this is a tile drafting game, and you're taking two tiles, and they're going to be scoring points for you in various ways, and then you're placing them next to you between two castles, and you're working on these with both your neighbors. I like the idea. The game is essentially an upgraded version of Between Two Cities with more complex scoring. That's what it is, but I like it. I mean, it's... Sometimes I wouldn't mind having my own castle rather than work with other people, but the idea, there's so many different options here. You look at this, how does this fit into this castle? And if you like math and mathiness, I guess, and trying to match things, you'll like this one a lot. Number 9 is Greed. Greed is a game from Donald X. Vaccarino, who did Kingdom Builder and, of course, Dominion. And Greed is a game which is probably a little too gritty, which might be higher on my list. It's about crime syndicate, and it's you're building this crime family in front of you and going out in jobs and action cards against other players. But every card has different uses, and there's a lot of variety in this game. It's kind of an underrated game, but I like it a lot. Greed. Number 8 is Medieval Academy. Medieval Academy is a great family weight game where you are trying to move discs up on tracks, and you are you're drafting cards, and then you're going to use those cards to move things up on the different tracks. I really like this concept a lot. This is one of the easiest ones to do. You're going to like, oh, do I want to move on that track? Do I want a high card? And if you want to teach people how these card drafting style games work, Medieval Academy is a good one for that. Number 7 is one of the first games of the genre I played, and one of the simplest, and that is Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale is a game where you draft cards, place them in front of you, and they score points. But sometimes when you place cards, it will cause other cards to flip over or unflip. There's a little bit of, going after other players by making their cards flip down. And if you want to add the advanced cards, which add a little bit of, extra complexity, but I think makes it a much fuller game, then it's even more fun. Fairy Tale, I like it a lot. Number 6, is Seven Wonders. No, I'm not going to make Seven Wonders 7 just because. Seven Wonders is probably the one that when you saw the title of this list, you thought of because it's great with drafting, and it is. And what's neat about drafting games in this situation, and in Seven Wonders, is they can include a lot of players because everyone's doing something at the same time. And Seven Wonders has the very epitome of, do I want to take good cards and not pass the science cards to the next person and let them score a ton of points? Seven Wonders for me is a good game, and it has increased a lot more with its expansions, especially the Tower of Babel expansion. I like that one a lot. And even though I like Seven Wonders Duel, I didn't include it in this particular list because that one, the cards are on the table as you draft them, but it's also a good variation. Number 5 is Treasure Hunter. This is a game I'm kind of surprised that does not get more love. It's designed by Richard Garfield from Magic the Gathering fame. And in this game, you are drafting a whole pile of different cards, and you have to, decide if you're going to send adventurers out to go collect various artifacts that are very valuable, or defend yourself against the attacking goblins by getting dogs, or just getting money cards. And all these cards have different uses. Again, it's very similar to Greed. But I really like the fantasy style theme of it. It's a really easy one to teach people, but I think offers a lot of great depth to it. A lot of fun. Treasure Hunter. Number 4 is Paper Tales. Paper Tales came out last year, and I love the artwork for this game. And in Paper Tales, you again are drafting cards and building in front of you a group of people, a 2x2 group of fighters, and then you'll fight the people next to you, which is something similar in Seven Wonders. But where you place them in the group, you're also collecting resources then, and you're building buildings. So there's a little bit more beyond the drafting part of this game. But I find it, I mean, the theme, the artwork, and then the simplicity and fastness of play make this one an easy one to talk about. Number 3 is a game I love a lot, and it's Blood Rage. Now, Blood Rage is my favorite game on this list, probably. But I'm ranking these by how much I like the drafting part, and drafting in Blood Rage is only part of it, although it's a good part of it. And in Blood Rage, you are drafting combat cards for fighting, you are drafting victory point cards for scoring at the end of the game, you are drafting cards that let you get cool monsters, and you can't always follow the same strategy every time you play Blood Rage because the cards you draft each time are going to be different. And so that really adds a lot to the flavor and funness of the game. It's a great game, and if you took the drafting out of Blood Rage, I think it would be a lot less fantastic, so it's my number 3. Number 2 is Sushi Go Party. Well, Sushi Go would have made my list probably at number 10, but Party really upped the ante. This is the most basic drafting game on my list, but basic doesn't mean bad. If you just want to play a drafting game, get cards, put them in front of you, score points. And I think because of this, it actually exceeds Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale, the scoring is a little more convoluted. In Sushi Go, it's much more straightforward, and there's lots of different kinds of styles because each time you're putting in different sushis. Some sushi, you need 3 of them to score, and if you score, and it can get you a lot, but then you need to get 3 of them. Some will double other ones. There's all kinds of cool concepts, and it's a really good price point. And my favorite drafting game currently is Bunny Kingdoms, also from Richard Garfield, who did number 5, Treasure Hunter. Bunny Kingdoms is an area control style game. Not area control, but you're placing bunnies all over and making kingdoms. And you're trying to score these big kingdoms, have a group of bunnies and castles and resources. And you do that by drafting cards that let you put bunnies on the map, that let you add resources, that let you put out castles, that give you victory points that score at the end of the game. And it's a really tense game because every card is good. You want to keep them all. That's my favorite thing about a drafting game is when you get a handful of cards, you're like, I like them all. Then you know it's a good drafting game. And Bunny Kingdom right now is the best of that lot. So those are my 10 favorite draft games. What are yours? Tell me in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching the best card and tile drafting games on the Dice Tower.